Are you a busy adult trying to learn English? And do you ever just wish there was a way to make real, actual progress, maybe a lot faster? Well, in this explainer, we are going to break down a system that's based on real research. It's not about magic tricks, it's about a method that genuinely works for people just like you. So let's dive in.
Does this sound familiar? You spend hours on apps. You study all the vocabulary lists. But then, when it's time to have a real conversation, the words just don't seem to come out right. You just feel stuck. If that's you, I want you to know you are definitely not alone. And you know what? It is not your fault. This feeling is actually so common that researchers have a name for it. It's called the intermediate plateau. A researcher named Jack Richards described it perfectly. It's that really frustrating stage where you can understand a TV show, you can follow a conversation, but when you try to speak, you find yourself making the same old mistakes again and again. It really feels like you're not moving forward. But here is the good news. It's a totally normal part of the journey, and today we're going to show you exactly how to get past it and fast. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why you feel stuck, and it might not be for the reason you think. Then we'll get into the one big secret to learning a language with real speed. After that, we'll get practical and give you a toolkit with the 5 fastest methods out there. Then we'll put it all together into a super simple 30-day action plan you can follow. We'll also cover the common mistakes that stop most learners in their tracks. And finally, we'll give you the exact first steps to start your new English journey today. Okay, let's start with part 1. Why do so many of us feel so stuck? Well, a big part of the reason is something I like to call the app trap. Now take a look at this. This is really interesting. Market research shows us that a huge number of learners, we're talking over 62%, spend most of their time on self-paced apps. But here's the trap. While apps can be okay for learning vocabulary, research shows they have really low completion rates. And why is that? Well, because they can feel more like a game than real communication. You might be learning words, but you're not really learning how to use them in a conversation. So we make a little progress, then we get bored or life gets busy and we stop. This whole cycle of starting and stopping, it's a huge reason why progress feels so incredibly slow. So, if the apps aren't the whole answer, what is? Well, this brings us to the most important idea of this entire explainer, the real secret to speed. And it's not some new app or a special trick. The key is to completely change how we think about learning. It's all about going back to basics and learning a bit more like a child does. You see, the famous linguist Stephen Krashen explained that our brains have 2 totally different ways of picking up a new language. Over on the left, we have learning. Think of this like studying for a grammar test. You're consciously memorizing rules and vocabulary lists. It's very deliberate, and honestly, it's often really slow. But then, on the right, we have acquisition. And this is a whole different ballgame. This is that natural, subconscious process you used to learn your first language when you were a little kid. You didn't study rules, you just listened, you communicated, you absorbed it. Acquisition is the key to speaking fluently and automatically. And you know what? It is so much faster. So the big question is, how do we acquire a language instead of just learning it? Well, the answer comes down to one simple thing: comprehensible input. If you remember one thing from today, make it this. It just means listening to and reading English that you can mostly understand, but that's also just a little bit challenging. It's language that's just one tiny step above your current level. This right here, this is the fuel your brain needs to acquire English automatically. Okay, so if comprehensible input is the fuel, how do we get it? It's time to get practical. In this next section, we are going to build your brand new toolkit. We'll go through the 5 fastest, most effective methods for filling your brain with comprehensible input so you can start your acquisition journey. These 5 methods, they all work together. It's like a complete system to retrain your brain. We've got immersion, which is all about surrounding yourself with English. Then there's shadowing, a really powerful technique for your pronunciation. Of course, daily conversation, because you have to speak. Thinking in English, which is the key to making you faster. And finally, a simple reading system to build up your vocabulary. So let's break each one down. First up is immersion, and the idea is really simple. You have to make English a normal part of your everyday life, not just something special you do for an hour. So why does this work so well? Because it gives your brain this constant, natural stream of that comprehensible input we were talking about. Your brain just starts to absorb the patterns of the language without you even trying. You can start with 2 super easy actions today. First, change the language on your phone to English. Seriously, you already know what the buttons do, so it's easy input. Second, just commit to watching 20 minutes of a TV show you actually enjoy in English every single day.
Method 2 is called shadowing. Now, this is an incredibly powerful technique that a lot of professional interpreters use. Here's how it works. You put on headphones, you listen to a native speaker, and you try to repeat what they're saying at the exact same time, just like a shadow. It's going to feel really weird at first, but it works because it directly trains the muscles in your mouth to make English sounds correctly. It also forces your brain to copy the natural rhythm, the stress, the whole music of the language. Just try it for 1 or 2 minutes a day. You can use a short clip from a podcast or even just one line from a movie.
All right, method 3, daily conversation. Input is crucial, but you also have to produce output. You've got to speak. I know a lot of learners are afraid of making mistakes, but the research is crystal clear on this. Your speaking time is way more important for your progress than a teacher's talking time. Your mouth just needs the practice. You don't have to be perfect. You can find a language partner online. There are tons of free websites. Or, hey, if you're a little nervous, you can just start by yourself. Try recording a 2-minute audio message on your phone every day, just describing what you did. The main thing is you have to get your mouth moving and making English words.
Method 4 is a real game changer, thinking in English. So many learners think in their native language, translate the whole sentence in their head, and then they try to say it. This process is so slow, and it's why conversations feel so hard. The solution is to build a direct connection between your thoughts and English. Start really small. As you do simple things throughout your day, just narrate them in your head in English. I'm making coffee. This coffee smells good. I need to leave for work now. It builds a totally new habit in your brain, and it cuts out that slow, painful step of translation. It's one of the best ways to make your speaking feel faster and more natural. And finally, method 5, a smart reading and vocabulary system. Reading is one of the best and honestly one of the easiest ways to get comprehensible input. The key is to find material that's at the right level for you. So look for things like graded readers or news articles that are written specifically for English learners. The goal is that you should understand most of it without needing a dictionary. And as you read, don't stop for every single new word. That just kills your flow. Instead, try to guess the meaning from the context around it. Then, after you finish, pick just 3 to 5 important new words from the text. Write them down in a notebook, but, and this is important, don't just write the word. Write down the full sentence you found it in. That context is the real secret to actually remembering and using your new vocabulary.
Okay, those are the 5 methods. But how in the world do you put them all together in a busy life? That brings us to our next section, your 30-day action plan. This is where we turn all this theory into simple daily practice. This plan here shows you just how simple this can be when you break it down. Let's walk through it week by week. Okay, week 1 is all about one thing, building the habit. Don't try to do everything at once. Your only goal is to set up your immersion. So choose your TV show, choose your podcast, and schedule 30 to 60 minutes in your calendar for English every single day. That's it. Then, in week 2, once that immersion habit starts to feel a little more normal, you add speaking. Keep up your immersion, and now just add 15 minutes of daily speaking practice. In week 3, it's time to increase the difficulty just a tiny bit. Maybe you push yourself by trying to watch your show without subtitles or by speaking for a few minutes longer. The goal is to stay just a little bit outside your comfort zone. And finally, week 4. This is when you review and you get to see your success. Record yourself speaking about a simple topic and compare it to a recording you made back in week 1. I promise you are going to be amazed at your own progress. Now, as you start this plan, there are a few common mistakes that can really stop your progress. So let's take a quick look at how to avoid them so you can stay on the right track.
Here are the 4 biggest mistakes that can derail your progress and exactly how to fix them. First, only studying grammar rules. The fix is simple. Shift your focus from rules to communication. Focus on acquisition. Second big mistake, using materials that are way too difficult. Remember, if you don't understand about 80% of what you're hearing or reading, it's not comprehensible input. It's just noise. The fix? Find something easier. There's no shame in that. Third, translating everything in your head. And the fix, as we talked about, is to actively practice thinking directly in English, even with really simple sentences. And finally, the 4th mistake, studying for 3 hours on a Sunday and then doing nothing for the rest of the week. The fix is all about consistency. It is so much better to study for just 30 minutes every single day. Consistency is everything.
Okay, we have covered the problem, the solution, the methods, and a plan. Now it is time for action. Let's talk about the first 3 steps you can take to start your new English life right now. We've talked about a lot, but starting is actually really simple. Here are 3 small things you can do in the next 5 minutes to get started. Step 1. Pick up your phone, go into the settings, and change the language to English. This is your very first act of immersion. Go ahead, do it now. Step 2. Choose your materials. Think of one English podcast and one TV show that you genuinely enjoy. Making it fun is the secret to consistency. Just decide that these are going to be your immersion tools for the next month. And step 3, make it official. Open the calendar app on your phone and schedule 30 minutes of English time every single day for the next week. Treat it like a really important appointment with your future self, because that is exactly what it is. The most important thing is this. This is not about being a perfect student. It's about being a consistent one. If you follow this plan, if you focus on getting that comprehensible input and letting your brain acquire the language instead of just studying rules, I absolutely guarantee that your confidence and your ability to speak English will be completely different in just 30 days. That feeling of being stuck that we talked about at the beginning, it can finally end. Your new English life starts today. Thanks so much for watching.